The snow had started falling before sunset, soft at first and then heavier, as if the sky itself hesitated over what it was about to witness. And by the time Eleanor stepped down from the wagon, the remote ranch was already wrapped in white silence, her thin boots sinking into the cold ground as she gathered, her worn travel bag and the fragile hope she had carried across endless miles, hope sewn carefully into every letter she had exchanged with a man she had never met, a rancher named Caleb Hart, whose words had promised safety, stability, and the possibility of a future she no longer dared to dream of. She paused on the porch, steadying her breath, listening to the wind sweep across the plains, and when the door opened, the welcome she had imagined dissolved instantly as Caleb stood rigid in the doorway, tall and guarded, his eyes hardening, when they fell not only on her but on the two small children, clinging to her skirts, Thomas and Lily, their faces tired yet trusting. His voice was calm but firm when he said she had never mentioned children, and the words struck deeper than the cold as Eleanor explained the truth. She had been too afraid to write that they were her late sisters, that she had promised never to abandon them, that they were all she had left. Caleb said nothing for a long moment, his silence heavier than anger, before stepping aside just enough to let them in from the storm, not as an invitation but as mercy. And inside the cabin, the children's quiet wonder at the fire and warmth only sharpened Eleanor's awareness that they did not truly belong. Supper passed in uneasy silence, the fire crackling where conversation failed. And when the children finally slept, Eleanor spoke the words she had rehearsed since the journey began, telling Caleb she would leave at dawn, that she would not impose herself or the children on a man who had not agreed to this life. Caleb turned away, closing the door with a final sounding thud and barring it against the night, saying only that she would not leave tonight. And Eleanor lay awake long after, listening to the wind and the breathing of the children, promising herself she would protect them even if it meant walking back into the snow with nothing but resolve. Dawn arrived quietly, pale light slipping through frost-edged windows as Eleanor rose before the fire died, dressed the children and left behind a folded note thanking Caleb for the shelter and apologizing for the burden. And when she opened the door and stepped into the bitter cold, the world ahead seemed endless and unforgiving. She had only gone a few steps when Caleb's voice cut through the wind, urgent and unguarded, and she turned to see him standing there with the bar removed, his coat on, his expression torn by something close to regret as he told her she could not leave, not alone, not with children, not into a storm that would claim them all. Eleanor answered with quiet dignity that she had never expected more than one night, that survival had taught her not to ask for space in anyone else's life. And as Caleb looked at the children huddled against her, something in him finally cracked, a memory of loss and loneliness he had sealed away after losing his own family to winter and illness. He admitted he had barred the door not to trap her but to protect himself, because letting people in meant risking pain all over again. And in the howling wind he made a choice that surprised even him, telling her she could stay, not out of obligation but as a day-by-day decision, promising the children safety for as long as they remained under his roof. The days that followed were not easy, but slowly the house filled with sound again, with shared work, cautious conversation, and the quiet healing that comes when people choose connection over fear. And one evening, as snow fell softly outside, Caleb watched Eleanor read to the children by the fire and realized the most important door he had closed had not been the cabin door but his heart, and it was finally opening. Stories like this remind us that second chances often arrive disguised as hardship. And if you want to continue following journeys filled with emotion, resilience, and unexpected love, make sure to subscribe to the channel, because the most powerful stories and the most meaningful chapters are still yet to come.